Yeah, thank you that I could be here. Yeah, I'm Peter, or Curly Peter, or my first Scrum team called me pain in our ass. I don't know why. Yeah, I like to talk about GenAI strategy, and this title is so short because I was forced to have a very short title. Of course, it's not about just strategy, it's about how to develop a strategy for our company or enterprise. And if you are have your own enterprise, maybe this is useful for you, or if you work with enterprises or with owners of an enterprise, might be also some useful insights, hopefully. If not, we just waste just 30 minutes. A little bit about me. I'm born as an engineer, and this is my path to become a human being, and I'm still not done, hopefully, becoming a human being. And I programmed my first software with 14, and this has something to do with GenAI, because at the university, this was my professor. He invented the radio frequent clock, and he is an old school engineer, analog technology. Unfortunately, is dead. But he was telling us students that the future will be neural networks. This was somewhere around 1995, a little bit earlier, I guess. And we were experimenting with that. This was a total failure. And just give you some numbers, I was experimenting with a backpropagation algorithm. I had 100 parameters. And you remember GPT-3, which is ChatGPT when everything got popular, said 175 billion parameters. And this is an interesting first part on this new technology, is that it's just this threshold where everything has changed. And when I was used ChatGPT first time, I was, holy shit, what I missed the whole time in between. I said this technology is dead, to be honest. So we are all surprised, and so actually, let's have to switch here something. So sorry, give me a second. Here we are. Yeah, so let's go ahead. These constraints, what this makes happen, are actually three constraints. The first constraint was energy, which is directly connected with computing power. So we didn't have this computing power back in the days. If you would have more energy, maybe we would have more computing power, but this is actually what still is constraining generative AI. The other constraint is data. So when we look into a GenAI, it's all about where we get this data to train all these models. This is not an accident that actually in our programming industry, we are so far ahead because we have this huge amount of data, GitHub, all these open source programs, and or code, what we can use for training these models. And of course, methods. In the meantime, there's happening so much. And if I look to that, how these models work, I'm completely out. It's much more than just backpropagation. But the concept actually is pretty old. This is first surprising. For me, it was very surprising. And so my talk is, of course, about GenAI, but I'm pretty sure you already know these things. You experiment with a lot of models and use them. And yeah, we all did, and we all surprised. Just one example here. I did, this is also hype about, vibe programming. My daughter is a designer, and she, for the bachelor, she had a project and developing an app for Mac. And it just took 2 weeks to develop this app alone. I just, from time to time, helped her a little bit, give some tips. But she has no clue about programming at all, what GitHub is or something, all these technologies. But everything she integrated in just 2 weeks. This was pretty amazing for me, that, okay, this really change a lot, not only about how we program, actually, how we learn also. The way she learned in this small amount of time was also pretty amazing. And what happened right now is maybe also you have recognized that, so people start asking, do we still need teams, development teams? How does it feel for you if someone's coming around and telling you, oh, we have GenAI right now and we probably don't need any development teams anymore? Is this a good feeling or bad feeling? Yeah, seems pretty bad, I think. Yeah? And I have my own opinion on that. I come to that later. That's more or less everything about GenAI I want to present right now. I like a little bit more to stick into this topic of strategy. So why we maybe need as an enterprise a different strategy and how we come to that. So when I talk about strategy, I'm not talking about tactics. So tactic is something what you do, what teams doing when they do their planning, or even if you have increment planning in SAFe, whatever, is all tactics. So strategy is something about giving long-term guidance, long-term goals or doctrines to an organization or teams. And these doctrines are universal. They are not only for teams, they are also for individuals, so we don't need really teams for that. And the question is, of course, what kind of long-term goals and doctrines we need for our organization for this GenAI area, what's coming, or what we're already in. This is, for me, the main question, how we come to that. So first 3 doctrines, what I identified, and I reference here very much to Simon Wardley. The first one here on the list is that we need an evolution focus. Second one is empirical control, and the last but not least, overall optimization. And we start with empirical control, which is most probably is not something new for you guys, because this is actually what we do in Agile. You all know these loops, Deming's plan, do, check, act, inspect and adapt. They in this core are empirical control loops. So Ken Schwaber was calling it empirical process control. This was his explanation of these kind of loops. And if you look to scientific work, and we were reminded this morning about correlation is not causation. Yeah? If you face something complex, and we have a now really complex situation for most large organizations, empirical control might be the best strategy what you can have. And when we talk about strategy, we need to also build this strategy based on empirical control. So when we go in such a loop, the first thing what we need is, or not the first thing, but one step in the loop. In the loop, you don't have a first thing, of course not. It's absolutely stupid. How to assess our situation where we are right now, when it's coming to GenAI and all this technology and changing our environment. And thankfully, again, Simon Wardley has already something in place. Some of you already know maybe this technology or this mapping technology from him, called after him, Wardley mapping. And I like to explain a little bit why is that so important right now. By showing an example in the past, you probably already or still know. So who of you knows, still remember Netscape, the browser? So everyone is over 40 probably, something like that. They controlled literally 80% of the whole internet market back in these days. Nobody can remember them. So who actually knows Mosaic? Something. And what you see here is actually the evolution of the World Wide Web and browsers. So very simplified, of course. Yeah, there was this idea of Tim Berners-Lee's. Okay, I need a way to handle all these scientific papers, and hyperlinking would be helpful. And then others coming up with the idea, okay, this is great, so we can create an online service based on IP. And so we are here in this genesis phase and custom build phase, so where we're pretty much on the beginning of a new concept and try out what it is, actually. Netscape already was in the product phase, where we have a discrete product, we see there's a business, we have a growing market, all these things, and then we come to this famous browser wars, where Microsoft were coming in, and today we have, yeah, we're pretty much with our internet technologies on a commodity side. Nobody really knows that he is using Chromium. When I have even Chromium running on my watch, we didn't recognize it anymore. But other services like Electron, which is the base for Miro, which I'm using right now here, they all build up on these components. So GenAI actually has the same fate. We're somewhere in the evolution right now, and the evolution is going just forward, not backward. And most probably, we are here somewhere with GenAI right now. I can't tell you really exactly, well, I'm not God, but probably we see a lot of names at the moment in the market around GenAI, which will disappearing. Maybe it's OpenAI. In 10 years, we say, what was OpenAI? I don't know. Maybe they do the leap and they are the dominant new product company in this area. We don't know, actually. So throughout competition, evolution is stepping forward, if we like it or not. It's very simple. Yeah? And the other thing is, the GenAI is just escalating this process. And all this technology that we had before, they just think here that it's even going faster. This is maybe what we all feel, that yeah, this change is really, really fast right now. And of course, companies asking about that, okay, what happened with us if we continue like that? Good, let's have a look more to evolution focus, because what we Agile people doing actually, or where Agile is coming from, we pretty much in this area. So when I was in the beginning of the 2000s, and I was with a company in Germany, a little bit like, yeah, a web company called Web.de, and literally 1 of 20 product developments or the projects were failing in the market. This is exactly what happened in the business right now with GenAI. And so for us now, the question is, or organization is, how we move forward in that evolution, and what might be the next steps for a company. And the reason why we in Agile or Agile organizations are here simply is that Agile is an optimization goal or strategy very good for these areas of Genesis, customer, and maybe still product build. But on the other side, optimizing for efficiency is also something we need. Yeah? When you go to scale and you want to scale a product in a market, yeah, you only can scale it if you get more efficient and stability. And this is a little bit of our problem when we build just organizations which are optimized for agility in the world of being able to change or respond to a lot of changes. And when we see later that GenAI is already pushing a lot into that commodity area and try to stabilize and establish standards. So we have to bring that together. And maybe a better approach for your organization is not just to say, okay, let's be more agile. So a better approach might be to say, okay, figuring out how we can forward this evolution process better. And maybe in some areas, it is better to focus a little bit more on efficiency and productivity in a way of as an optimization goal, or having a good combination of both, which is often happening if you are working here in the middle. So, for example, I'm working with a company which has a production line engineering team, and they have a small piece of production in place, not a high-scale production. And this engineering team have to optimize actually to both in this middle, so to agile and efficiency in the same way. So at the same time, which is sometimes a little bit conflicting because you can't get the change for free without changing a lot in your scalability. Okay, let's dig a bit into these Wortley maps, and I like to show you some example how you potentially assess your situation, what you are right now with your organization. And don't be confused, I show you some maps in the documentation here, you get the mirror board and all the stuff. There's too much content that we really go through it. I just did here in first example to next one. So map out in my perspective, the current market of GenAI and all these tools, and there are just a few tools on that map here to explain something what's happening right now in the market. And if we look to it, and very much in the bottom here, we see, for example, that a company like NVIDIA, which is, I don't know, number second most wealthiest company at the moment. And the reason for that is very simple. Everything is depending on them. And they have a product which is really in the product state, which they can sell by numbers. And nobody can compete them at the moment because every models are optimized to their chips. It is a lit. I name that here. So during a gold rush, the shovel sellers are making the most profit. Remember the gold rush in San Francisco? The Levi's was most probably makes the biggest profit, but not too long. And same will happen for NVIDIA. I wouldn't buy stocks, by the way, for me, NVIDIA, because all the others try to, of course, integrate that into their computing services, and Amazon and so on. They're producing already their own chips, and somewhere they will make the turn and get that in control. But so long they really are very comfortable here. We also see a lot here that these big tech companies are really pushing to commodity with their models and their services. This is pretty funny. If you know knows Apple Intelligence, an attempt to push into commodity, make it a part of their OS, but it's not ready. And most of these products at the moment, they're far more here on the left. Lot of experimenting. We see every month a new model, new service coming up. So the market is really still experimenting and far away from commodity. On the other side, we have users which pretty know quite well right now what they want. So I want writing and reasoning on my hand. But still, on the left side, there's a huge gap. We don't see these real new products. And we miss them here. Maybe they're coming around. Just the former designer from Apple was just bought from OpenAI. And the reason behind that is exactly that thinking. We just know these chat applications, but what are really new products? And this would be also an interesting point for your organization. So what are completely new products we can come to the market? Not just make it a little bit more efficient, what we're already doing, which is exactly what we are here in the middle, which is not too bad, but this is interesting times to see really new products here. I just give you a short example from a real company. Is a car supply company in Germany, and they were trying to figuring out how they can use GenAI for their whole sales pipeline, typical approach, to see if we can go more efficient in that area. And that's why we were looking here very much into the middle area, in this product retail area. So what are the suppliers already offering on services? What we can do here. Yeah? Not digging deep into that one. But the interesting part here was also data is critical. They don't have all the data. Then efficiency is not enough. Means just do that faster for them is not really solving their business problem what they already have. Because the business problem what they really have is the whole car market in Germany is changing, and they won't solve that just with a better sales process. So they actually asked the wrong question that we're figuring out in that workshops. This is also an interesting one. This is my company, the Scrum team. This is just showing the education market, and you see the red one. It's just sucks. Education market is going down, and we see clearly, also I believe, I can see that traditional education is completely changing, and we already going down with our company and looking for some new opportunities outside of education, because this will happen by the big scaling education company in the future, not by us anymore. Also interesting is how we deal with our content, our data. All questions, we can't have answers right now. I just can predict it radically will change. So keep it a little bit short. How much time do we have? 10 minutes? Nice. Okay, good. Here's the clocks. Nice. So the problem with all these charts I'm showing here is, in the end, it's okay how we solve a large problem, and the answer is 42. So getting that something done. I think some practical stuff for you would be this map of questions, because when you go with your client, maybe with your organization, into that process to map out where we are right now with GenAI, the question is, what is our first question? We look deeper into it, and depending very much where you are, the question might be here on the product side. So how we could excite customers better, maybe is a question. You have maybe questions which you like to look here more deeply here. For example, the data area. So have we unique data in our organization which we can use to monetize it with GenAI? Are there any regulations or other blockage that is making happen for us? Also on the skill level side, so have we the right domain knowledge for that? So what do our employees need to learn to make that happen? Might be questions. And also what skill we might like to hire for that, or need to hire. And all of these you can really map out and see if you like to integrate it in your strategy finally. And continuously do that, because there is not one question you need to raise. There's just one question at a time. Don't try to ask all these questions as one. Just pick out one question, go into that inspect and depth loop, and try to figuring out how we move forward. But of course, your decision makers in your organization have to raise that question, and maybe this one, this map might be helpful to start with questioning this paradigm. So back to my initial experience with my daughter and vibe programming. And I said, okay, we really need teams. Yeah, we need teams anymore. Still, we need teams, but we probably don't need traditional coding teams anymore. So teams are just a social construct which we people love to work. We just hear that, and this will stay. So GenAI is not inventing that any new. So this is just what helping us to solve a complex problem. And so we will see teams, but my daughter might be a team member as a designer in a team where few programmers are working, maybe no programmers anymore, or some programming skills, and we just widen the possibility a team can achieve with these tools. So I definitely see that teams are changing. So team setups will changing, team structures will changing. I see that, but we still have teams, and we still have pairs, of course. We still have product or departments or areas, larger areas, and of course we still have enterprises. But I don't think it is changing. So my thinking behind that is, as soon as we humans invented a technology which helps us to control complexity, we immediately answer that with more complex products and solutions. So, and this will continue in our evolution. It always stays the same, I guess. Okay, so this part here, and I want to remember this statement here. I lost that. This was my engineering career when I was continuously digging into the problems. And okay, I need better code, I need better solutions, and then I found this statement here from Jerry Weinberg: "Whatever is a problem is always a human problem." And I have a story from also last week. I was in a IT meeting in our capital city, and the mayor was telling what he's thinking how to use AI in the government, and he was telling about the car registration office, and he said we have 1,000 pages of regulation, and is super detailed. We know everything of that, or at least in these 1,000 pages, everything. We just need AI now, and we just can process it. And I was just thinking, oh, very good idea. So I just can get Claude, and you have 5,000 pages then. And the question is, of course, how we use that. Yeah. And the whole problem here in the situation again is what we really want to achieve. So when his goal is, of course, to have just replaced the worker in the offices, there might be really an AI, but when his goal is to make things simpler, we can also use AI. So might be the goal, instead of 1,000 pages, we just saw 100 pages of regulation. So if we use AI to automate shit, we just have artificial shit. So the same as we have before. This is really depending very much how we use that tool. And it's just escalating things. This is all. Yeah? Okay, so I think I'm done talking. Do I have a little bit more time, hopefully, for questions? And yeah, mentioned that one. Before that, just short summary. So when it comes to AI strategy, so first thing is we can't say how our business will change because of GenAI, but we can develop a strategy. This strategy must be, of course, high level. This is the nature of what the situation we are right now. I hopefully could, explain a bit why I think imperial control at the enterprise level is the best safeguard. I'm not sure if I'm really good in that. Hopefully you find better ways, because we need, of course, to explain that our C-level in our organizations. And first, focus on evolution, focus on Agile second. I love Agile, really, but it is not solving many problems of most parts in larger organizations. They have really the demand to optimize for efficiency, and they are right if they're optimizing for that. And maybe a look to evolution will help them. Okay, thank you.